All right, you guys, welcome as everybody is starting to come in. Welcome to the Urban Youth Racing School virtual STEM class brought to you by Chevy.
Yes.
All right, you guys. All right, and so we have a special guest today, you guys. We have Ty Dillion, number 13, the Geico Camaro ZL1. Like that has a long title to it.
Yeah.
Normally we have Jim Campbell, who's also our co-host from Chevy. Is that Jim? Oh, okay. I guess someone is coming in through somebody's coming in through your
my name.
Your link. Yeah, somebody else.
Maybe it's just late logging in or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody else came in as me.
Yeah, somebody else came in as you. That was funny. So we just kind of want to get this conversation started. So welcome, Ty. We're so happy to have you here with us. With the this came about because of the coronavirus, and we were stopped dead in the middle of our classes right before we were going to go to the track, and we were trying to find ways to kind of like bridge the gap and still have the students have some type of connection. We do classes that John and Anthony do on Wednesday nights, but on Saturdays we decided it was the perfect time to bring in people who normally would not have the time to come to Philadelphia and visit the school.
Okay.
So we do these and we record them and we send them to the parents and students, and they're always there. They come in, the students from the class come in. All right, awesome. So with that said, I'm gonna turn it over to Anthony and to John so that we can get started.
Okay.
Hey, so hi, I'm Anthony Martin. I actually run the racing school. I'm here with my partner in crime, Mr. John Cohn, the owner of New York Racing. And we are extremely excited today to have Mr. Ty Dillion with us. That's funny, I was just laughing with Ty a second ago. I said, I remember when you were 20 years old, man, you were 10 years old. We was looking at the picture and everything. So, but hey, Ty, man, thank you for actually coming on with us today. I've been a fan, for many, many years of yours. Obviously, it's just been a lot of fun watching you grow and go through the different series, because you were in the truck series. You were actually in the truck series when you came here in 2012. So to see you now in the Cup Series, man, I'm so proud of you for sure. And that's the fact. Hey, Ty, we usually have go-kart races every year too. So we had to invite you to come up to race against our kids also. They would love that. Okay?
I'd love that. Yeah.
We have to make that happen for sure. So thank you for being on, Ty. I appreciate it. Michelle?
No, I was gonna say that it looks like Ty was in the ARCA series in 2011. That was right before he came to see us.
Yeah, but he was in the truck series when he came to see us. Yes, he was in the truck series when he came to see us. I remember that distinctively. Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Can you just kind of tell us a little bit? I see that you started racing at 13.
Mm-hmm.
But what was that like for you? How did you become interested? I know that you come from a NASCAR, a racing family, but it still doesn't mean that you had to or wanted to race. Where did that come from for you?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you guys for having me. It's an honor to get to speak to the youth and the future of not only NASCAR, but auto sports in general. So I'm really excited to be here. Yeah, I got my career started when I was 13, very young. I'm sure there's a bunch of young kids around that age in here going to be watching this today. But that was kind of a moment in life for me, obviously, where I didn't understand exactly what I was stepping into or what this would be, but I knew I was doing what I loved at that time, and that was driving race cars. So the passion for what I love is what ultimately got me to where I am now at 28 years old. And as life goes on and your career develops, the love of what you do has to be there. And if it's not there, it's hard to be committed to a career. So at 13 years old, there was a lot of traveling, a lot of sacrifice from doing things that maybe the normal kids that I grew up around did on a weekend. But I was really dedicated to doing something with racing. So that was probably where it all started for me, as far as having a focus on a career goal and really putting my full love of something into my career.
I have a question for you, because can you speak a little more to the sacrifice at that young age? Because I know, we have I don't know, when we used to go like full out racing with our mini cup cars, we would have like 8 cars hit the road anywhere from Poughkeepsie, New York to Orlando, Florida. And it was such a sacrifice for the kids. So what kind of things did you sacrifice? And I think what I want the kids to understand is that dedication, right? And that delayed gratification, that you were like, okay, I'm not going to do what everybody else is doing, even though I want to, because I have a goal. And even though I may not achieve this goal for many, many years, I'm still doing what I need to do to go towards that dream.
Yeah, I think if you truly love what you're doing, at a young age, commitment is the most important thing that will last the longest, and you'll appreciate always. It's something like putting coins into a piggy bank. Those days that, you might be persuaded by your friends or things going on, or go run another race, but you really love racing, but, in this moment, you might want to hang out with your friends or do one thing. Committing to something that you love for your future will always pay off in the end. You'll have times in life where you get to have those moments back. Life is a long time, and there is things that you can gain back. And I think the commitment at an early age to something that you really love, and if you don't love it, maybe it's not the right thing, and maybe you should search for something else. But to have the love for something, if you truly love racing a car or working on a car, the commitment that it takes always pays dividends in the ends, and you will be able to get to where you're going. I believe that everybody here, with the right amount of effort, can get to exactly where their goals are in life. So I think just that love and commitment will pay off if you stay disciplined in what you want to do.
What steps would you recommend, Ty, for a kid who wants to get involved in racing that he or she should take to get involved in the sport? If you are serious about becoming a driver, what steps should they take?
Yeah, I think the great thing about trying to start a career in auto racing is there's so many different levels. I can speak to the way that I did it, but I don't think that's the only way that you have to do it. I think the avenues of getting to, whether it's NASCAR or drag racing, NHRA, or any other kind of auto racing, there's so many career paths. I think obviously starting at an age where you feel comfortable and you enjoy racing is a great start, but there's different series from go-kart tracks to Bandolero racing is what I did. Then I went to legend car racing, and then I did a lot of local dirt racing through my career going up. So there's so many different paths, so it doesn't have to look exactly like mine. I think what is important is along the way is to be able to, obviously you have to be able to win races, but the person that you are throughout the journey, I think that matters a lot in these days and age. You get a lot of drivers who are very talented, but they don't really focus on being the person that they are. And they may be persuaded by different things in life that got them there. So when they get to the top, they're kind of lost. So one thing, no matter what path you take, to me, is always be you. Be genuinely you. Don't let the outside world or persuasion that you have to do certain things to make it a certain way take you out of who you are. And I think that if you're meant to be at the top level, you'll get there being exactly who you are, and that's always enough.
Hey, Ty, how powerful is this iRacing now? How powerful is this to get you to that level now? How strong is it?
I think it's extremely strong. I did an interview the other day, and they said, is it possible that iRacing could become a development ground for drivers? And I believe so. I believe there's opportunity there. My feeling in an iRacing rig is it's about 80% of what the real racing is like. But that's a big 80%, and it's a lot cheaper than going racing all over the world and doing that. So you get a lot of the mental side of it. You get a lot of the parts of learning how to run a race, learning how to survive a race, doing the right things. You can learn how to set up your race car through iRacing. There's a lot of things that you can learn. I feel like you do have to have some of that actual physical experience under your belt, but it is a great training ground to get yourself started. And there's a lot of opportunity there. There's a lot of people, a lot of drivers, a lot of owners who are paying attention, who have iRacing, who I think over the years, there's going to be more eyeballs on that avenue and more opportunity grown from that.
Great.
So what was the first series you started in, Ty?
The first series I started in was Bandolero Racing, which is 600 Racing. Is the series. It's I don't know who owns it, but you can go to 600racing.com and you can look up the different series that they have for different age groups. And I think you can literally start racing around 8 years old. So in those cars, and then they have a kind of stepping stones to get to your next level.
Did you feel a lot of pressure in racing? Like, your brother, coming in Xfinity champion, and then, your grandfather's Richard Childress. Like, did you feel a lot of pressure of the competition within the family of competing more or less than the outside? Like, was it a lot of pressure to you growing up?
Yeah, certainly. Having a brother who, we were kind of going together side by side through our career. He was 2 years older than me, but I always held myself to his expectation. That was tough for me for sure, getting used to. And I think as you grow through anything in life, you kind of learn how to handle the pressures and the ups and downs, and it'll be part of any career. And then also coming from a family that's been in racing, and has a long history, I put a lot of pressure on myself. But I think as I grew and realized that my results didn't really define who I was, that I believed in myself, I knew in my heart that that I was a great race car driver and I had what it took. But the results will come and go. But if you stay doing the process, doing the things that you can handle to the best of your ability, the opportunity and the results will show up. The tough thing about racing is there's only one winner. It's not like a normal sport. So it's easy to let your emotions travel with your finishes. And I think that's one dangerous way that the sport can be detrimental to your heart or to your mind, and you can fall out of love with it. So I think a piece of advice would be, no matter what level you are, yes, you want to be able to win. But don't ever think that in anything in life that your results define who you are. You will always get opportunity. There will always be another day to wake up and do your best again.
That's great advice, Ty. That's very great. That's very good advice. Thank
Ty,
you.
how old are you now?
I'm 28. Yep.
Hi, you're the same age as my son. Yeah, I think that's why when I looked at your picture from 2012, I was like, oh, he's such a baby. Right? But
Yeah.
I really want to, a few things. So for those of you who are inside of the actual webinar right now, we're live on Facebook and Instagram. But those of you guys who are live, make sure to raise your hand so I can bring you up to ask Mr. Dillon any question, so you guys can ask Dillon the question. But I'll start right here with Elijah, who has a question. He says, Mr. Ty, what do you think of the Confederate flag being banned in NASCAR? All right, Elijah, give me 1 second. We're going to get into that question in a minute. Because I do want to speak with you, Ty. You were one of the first drivers to really ask questions, right? To say, listen, I have questions, and I don't know everything, and I want to learn. And that was so powerful, Ty.
Yes.
For you to just kind of step out. And we all, the racing school has been a part of the NASCAR community for 22 years now, or the racing community in general. John Cohen owns New York Racing, a NASCAR team. So we understand how powerful it was for you to do that. What was your take on doing that, and why did you feel the need to do it?
Yeah, I can just kind of go back and explain my heart through everything that's gone along. I think my wife and I were sitting in bed Saturday night before we went and raced in Bristol and watching the news that everything was going on. And I knew I was heartbroken, and we just had lots of conversations about, how we felt to each other. And I just said, as a Christian man and what I believe in, this isn't right. And there's no room in my view of life for hatred, for racism, for bigotry, for any oppression or injustice. And I would feel like I would be lying to my future and lying to my children if I didn't say how I felt about this. I would be holding something back for generations that I care about in my lineage, and people that I feel like as a NASCAR driver, I've been blessed to have a platform to speak to. And there are people that do care about my opinions on things. So I wanted to say, this is where I stand with my first statement. And I realize I grew up in a bit of a bubble. Obviously, I had a really famous NASCAR family that I grew up at a racetrack and was very wealthy my whole life, and didn't really, outside of where I grew up, and I didn't really have perspective in life. I just wanted to be honest. And I think sometimes the strongest thing we can do as human beings is be honest and not be afraid to say that we don't have it figured out and that we want to learn. I think those are three things that are so valuable and so strong in life to be able to admit. And I wanted to admit that to public, that I just want to listen, I want to hear, and I want to know, because I believe those things aren't right. And I want to know and I want to feel that, because as a white man growing up in racing, I didn't know what it was like, or in life in general. I don't know what it's like to not be treated equally because of the color of my skin, or to have a harder road in life, or things not be as fair because of what I look like. And to me, that breaks my heart, because that's not fair. That's not fair in any world that I want to live in. So I wanted to speak out with my heart to that. And when I first spoke out, Bubba Wallace was one of the first ones that messaged me private, and him and I were having lots of conversations private. And actually a pastor that I'm really good friends with, I was sharing some of the things that I was talking to Bubba about, and we were just having a great conversation. He's like, hey, you guys should take this public. There's people that want to hear this kind of conversation. And more or less for me, it's not about me saying what I think and what I feel. I want to know. I want to be informed. Just like I know you young kids here want to be informed about what it takes to be a race car driver. I want to know what it takes to be able to make change in this world that deserves it. So that was kind of my heart, and listening to Bubba opened my eyes. I've known him since we were both young. The first race I ever ran, he was there. He was younger than me, but I knew him and knew of him, and we have followed our careers together all the way through. And we just shared a bond in that moment. And I have such appreciation for him and what he's doing in our sport right now. And I think, it's time for change. And that's kind of where I came from.
I had a long conversation with one exec yesterday in NASCAR. All week I'm speaking to guys. And I told him, I said, I specifically said, without Ty, I don't think Bubba could have did what he did, because he had the support. Ty stepped up, and then Jimmy, Tyler, Kyle, all you guys stepped up and let Bubba know it's okay. You can say what you need to feel, and we behind you. And it helped Bubba, have the courage to really speak out the way he wanted to speak out, of what's going on. So I applaud you for, stepping up, for your friend, and seeing that something was wrong and willing to listen. I actually, when it first came on, when you guys was talking, I actually went on when it was live that night, and I was really impressed about some of the things that you were saying to him. And then at the end, when you prayed for, stuff that, just all that meant a lot to me, as an African-American, especially in the sport, because I have plenty of stories, but, I keep them inside what goes on, because, it's just what it is sometimes. But I applaud you for what you did, very much so.
And I think also, Ty, it's funny because as I speak to Jim Campbell and different people in the sport, and a lot of what the racing school does is give kids, we're predominantly African-American, right? It just is, right? But what we want to do, part of the reason we were doing what we were doing is so that kids can have that opportunity to change their generation moving forward, right? And at one point I just felt defeated, because I said, we're changed. Our kids work at NASCAR. I'm sure Jason Simmons, who was a racing school student. NBC, the White House. We have kids that are under 30 for Forbes list. And I said, nobody would ever know how great, a cop would never know how great these kids are if they pulled over, because their skin weaponizes them, right? Their skin becomes a weapon. And I was almost feeling defeated. Like, it doesn't matter what we do. It doesn't matter how much money GM pours into this program if nobody gives these kids a chance. And if the color of your skin doesn't give you that chance, then it just becomes, it becomes an issue. I see Jim is coming in right now.
Coming in now.
On time, right? So, it was so important what you did. And that's why we were just like, I was like, wow, is that Ty? Did Ty just say that?
Right.
Right?
Right.
I was like, nice. But, I had this conversation with Jim. I said, I was so hurt, right? I was so hurt at the fact that our kids would not have a chance because of the color of their skin. But these are great human beings. And I mean, we pour a lot into them. We train them. We do this, we do that. They get exposed to so much. They have so much to offer the world, the planet, everybody. So, you know, it was heartbreaking. But now when you kind of see the entire world coming together, and for NASCAR to kind of step in is extremely significant, right? It is very significant because NASCAR has been a place where racism in a sense has been unchecked, right? Because it's kind of like that's, you know, you leave them over there, they're racing, they're doing their thing. We've been trying to integrate the sport for 22 years. Haven't had much luck, but at least we have Jason that's, you know, working in the sport, in the sanctioning body. So that's pretty major within itself as far, I mean, at least to us it is, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just been great to kind of see the outpouring, even at General Motors when, you know, I had to repost, you know, General Motors commitment. And so everybody's commitment to making it a better world for all human, and looking at it for what we really are is the human race. Yeah. Right. Like we're here to pull together the human race. And for me, that is, you know, that just, I now have hope in humanity, right? That to watch the entire planet come together in a way that I don't think I'd have thought I'd have ever seen in my lifetime. Yeah.
Yeah, Ty, I'm so proud of you, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
You know, I'm actually, I don't have words for it. You know, I mean, as they say, as my mother used to always say to me growing up, I'm 56 years old now, Ty, my mother used to always say to me, actions speak a hell of a lot louder than words do. You know, people can say things, they can talk all day, but when they make things happen, it's a whole lot different. And what you did was very, very, very powerful, brother. So
I can honestly say, Ty, you're the one who made the change in NASCAR for last week.
Oh, well, thank you.
So all that stuff that happened this week was a reflection of you and Bubba, you know, feeding off. But without you starting, without you making a statement, without you speaking to Bubba, all that change, you know, you may have a lot of stuff. You may not, anything can happen in your racing career, but you understand you changed the face of NASCAR in 1 week.
Yeah.
Wow. That means so much to me to hear that from you guys. I just think too, this has never been about me either, you know, and I want that to be clear. My intention has always been I'm not afraid to step up front and say, hey, this is about others. We need to be able to step out and say, I will risk. I don't care if I never win a race, win a championship, get everything in the world, money-wise or whatever that the world can offer me. But if I don't end my life being someone who cared for others, none of this is important. And to me, that was more important than anything else. So to me, it seemed like what I needed to do as a human being in a time where, you know, the Black community needed to be heard, and the voices have been suppressed for so long that if I have a group of people in NASCAR who are listening to me about things that I do on a normal basis, why not use that voice to help others for good for once? You know, we always talk about our cars or our race team or our sponsor, but you know, in the long run in life, none of that stuff really matters. But if I can help another human being to maybe change the world a little bit, that's all I care about. And I hope that that's what my children see in me, that they will lead a life that's the same way. And I am so proud of our sport as well. You can see the clear, obvious leaders who are trying to make a change in this. And, you know, Bubba's done such a good job, and we've got a good support system. We've created a new council that's going to meet for the first time next week that just picks up and keeps the ball rolling, because this is not, for me, certainly, this is a conversation I have with NASCAR. I don't want this to be a hot topic and we leave. We're going to stay. This is going to be the lifeblood of NASCAR. And whether I need to be on the committee for the rest of my life or not, I want to be a part of change forever in this sport. And there's a lot of good hearts and there's a lot of good opportunity, but there is a history to our sport that needs to change. And we can be the ones that step up and make a change so that great programs just like the Urban Youth Program can really take off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim.
Hey, Ty. Hey, Anthony. Hey, John.
Hey.
And hello to all the students.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ty, thanks for the dialogue you and Bubba had. I had a chance to exchange a couple messages with Bubba, and really appreciate you guys having dialogue, and this whole thing around listening to one another is important. Awareness can lead to this dialogue, and then dialogue leads to understanding, and I think understanding gives us the opportunity to lead to change. And then for us, we aspire to be a company that stands for inclusion. We want to be the best in the world. We aspire to that. We're not perfect. That's our aspiration. And our focus is really focused on what we can do. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're not perfect, but that's our goal. And appreciate the dialogue that you and Bubba had, and the fact that all the drivers came together, and then ongoing with NASCAR. What else can we do? So thanks for doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you said it perfect. I think just the conversation. I think we have to be vulnerable to have the conversation and say that, just like you said, that we're not perfect, but we're willing to change and figure it out. And I think that's the way that we can one by one make a difference. And I think one thing I wanted to add was we all have someone in our lives that we can influence. Not everyone's voice is important, and to think that this might not have anything to do with me, so I'll just sit back. I think that's the biggest mistake that we can make in times like that. There's, whether it's your brother or sister or your mom or dad, or you run a business, or you're a race car driver, we all have an opportunity to make a difference in someone's life that can slowly change the world. So everyone is important. Everyone has a voice that needs to be heard and talked to.
Yeah, thank you. And I just love the fact the students are on here today. Michelle, how many students are on today? I can't see it.
I have about 12.
Okay, great.
No, 17.
17.
Great. Welcome to the students. That's the most important thing right here.
That's right.
So you guys, just let me do a little bit of house cleaning. You guys that are inside of the webinar, you can put your hand up if you're ready to ask questions, and I'll bring you in. Okay. Until then, we'll keep the conversation going. I just ended the Instagram because my hand can't hold do all of this stuff all at once. But at least they got the gist. So as we here's a.
Do we need to answer that first question about the flag, Confederate flag?
Yes.
I'd love to. To me, I'm very proud of our sport for going ahead and taking the step and removing or requiring to remove all Confederate flags from every racetrack. I think that's been a necessary step that needed to happen a long time ago, but I think, better late than never for sure. It represents a part of this country and a history in this country that has been overridingly negative and not inclusive to all communities. So I'm very proud of our sport. I think it's one of many things that needs to continue to happen, but I think our sport is showing our true heart for the first time in a long time to making change and wanting to be a part of change. So that's how I feel about that.
All right, awesome. So we have Tay. I don't want to just say awesome. No, I think that's very important. I was looking at Tay and knowing that she wants to answer, she wants to ask a question. I think that's very important because the Confederate flag, I honestly don't understand. They lost, right? Like, I'm trying to understand why you would kind of keep this flag, but I get it. At the same time, you're trying to hold on to whatever history you may have. So, at the same time, like, as you're trying to understand, we are also trying to understand why all of this is coming together in such a way, right? But go ahead, Tay. This is little Taylin, one of our students.
Do you learn more from your wins or your defeats?
Wow, great question, Tay. And I love your shirt. That's so cool. No, I think I've definitely learned more from my defeats. And sometimes in life, you end up having more defeats than victories. But that's what makes the victory so sweet, is when you can take all those defeats sometimes that come at you, whether it's in a sport or a business or just sometimes in life in general, can be hard. But the lessons that you learn from that is what makes the victory so sweet. So so much more is learned in the defeat, and never be discouraged by it. Always see it as an opportunity to learn.
Thank you.
No problem. Great question.
All right, hold on. Bring you back down to panelists. All right, you guys, just raise your hand, or attendee if you want to come up. All right, so Ty, normally we play this game called Would You Rather, right?
Okay.
And I know that, and you have to pick one or the other, right? Now, I know that Jim does not have a lot of time, so we're going to let Jim start it off today.
Okay.
All right, Ty, here's your first question. Would you rather drive a production Camaro ZL1 1LE or the new 2020 mid-engine C8 on a hot lap around Watkins Glen?
Ooh, I'm going to go with the 2020 C8. I want to try that thing out.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully we make it happen one of these days here.
All right.
Well, thanks. Well, we got you started there. So back to you, Michelle and Anthony and John.
Absolutely. All right. So the next question. Would you rather go back to the past and meet your ancestors, or go to the future and meet your future children or grandchildren?
Ooh, that's a good one. I certainly want to go to the future. I want to meet my future children and grandchildren and see what they're doing in the world.
Got it. All right. So the next one is, would you rather swim with sharks or hippos?
Ooh, I think hippos are more dangerous than sharks. So
That's right. That's right.
I'd rather do neither. I don't want to. Can I not go swimming that day? I'll pick sharks.
Yeah, that's a smart move, Ty. That's a real smart move.
Tyler Reddick said he swim with hippos. He's like, I don't know if that's the right answer.
That's what Tyler Reddick said last week.
He's gonna swim with hippos. All right. This is a question from John Cohen. Since you're friends, you and Bubba are really good friends, we want you to pick between these other two great Bubbas.
Okay.
Right? So, would you rather do a one-on-one with Bubba Stewart in Supercross? Right? Is that correct, John?
Yep.
Yeah, either 18 holes with Bubba Watson, or one-on-one Supercross with Bubba Stewart.
Man, that's tough, but I'd have to go. I actually have some mutual friends with Bubba Watson.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I could maybe make that happen. So I'm going to go with Bubba Stewart, and because I love motocross, and
Right.
I used to ride quite a bit, but I got injured, so I had to stop that. But Bubba was so good in motocross, and he was kind of like when I was riding, him and Ricky Carmichael were they were always going at it. So
Right.
I'd love to do that with him.
Awesome. All right. So the next one is, would you rather eat no candy at Halloween or no turkey at Thanksgiving?
Ooh, no candy at Halloween. I am uniquely not very big on candy. My wife and daughter love it. My daughter is obsessed with Halloween, and even in the middle of summer, we still sing Halloween songs. So they would pick the candy. I'm gonna go with the turkey.
You're gonna go with the turkey. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. Would you rather have free Wi-Fi wherever you go, or your favorite drink for free, whatever that drink is, for free, wherever you want it, wherever and whenever you want it?
I'd go with the favorite drink for free, whenever, wherever. Yeah, I just think, I spend so much time wanting to unplug, so I wouldn't want to have more opportunity to have to be plugged in. So unplugging is very key for me for sanity, so that I can come back and be refreshed. So I wouldn't want to have access all the time.
Got it. All right. So this last one, and you have to pick one. All right.
Okay.
All right. Would you rather eat a crispy tarantula from Cambodia, and these are real, or tuna eyeballs from Japan?
Oh my gosh. I feel like a crispy tarantula would be better. I just feel like, if it was like super crispy and almost dry, you wouldn't have to have too much taste there.
Right.
The eyeballs would just not work for me.
Yeah, I feel like you could put hot sauce on crispy chicken.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, for sure.
Flavor, and it might make it taste like chicken, but I don't know what you could do about the tuna eyeballs.
Oof.
Who's your favorite artist right now, musically?
Artist. I listen to a lot of Christian music, so it's a lot of worship bands.
Gotcha.
I go to Elevation, also Hillsong, but I like Justin Bieber's new album too.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Oh wait, Justin has a new album out?
Yeah, Changes.
Oh, his last album was fire. I don't care.
Yeah. I think this one's even better.
Oh, is it really?
Yep, I think so.
Right, I am an in the closet Justin Bieber fan, but I'm in the closet.
Hey, Ty. So I understand you're a big sports guy. You like the Carolina Panthers, and
absolutely.
So let me ask you, who's your favorite NBA player?
NBA player. Man, NBA. Right now, like I'm a big Hornets fan, and our franchise isn't really thriving, to say the least, right now. But Devontae Graham is a really fun player to watch right now. Okay. He's young, ascending guy. But like, who doesn't love watching LeBron and these superstar teams right now? Like, I'm more of a team guy. I don't ever typically pick one person to be a fan of in any sport. Okay. I'm a very diehard fan guy. I'm very into analytics of teams and personnel. So that's like a retired or secondary dream job for me, is to be like a general manager of some kind of sports team.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So how are you dealing with the COVID NASCAR just to get to the track, jump in the car and go? How do you feel about that these days?
Yeah, it's not easy. The plus is obviously spending more time with my family, not having to be at the track for 3 or 4 days on the weekend, more time at home. The minus is I'm there for a full day and with no one to really talk to, no one to spend time with, and didn't realize, you always think about it, but you don't really realize till it happens when the race is over and there's no fans, your family's not there, and we're not really allowed to interact with anybody. It can be an empty feeling. There's so much relationship that really matters as far as being an athlete and being some, performing in sports. You find yourself that you a lot of times do it for more than yourself, and you do it for the people around you and the ones who care about you doing it. Obviously, we know everybody's watching, but having that moment when you get out of the car and you got 4 or 5 people that you can talk to, or the fans are screaming, that is very missed. And I'm very excited, hopefully, to get some more fans back in the stands so it's not so quiet and awkward.
Yeah, it's interesting because NASCAR, really being the first sport to try to come back, in a way that is meaningful. I know right now they're kind of doing it for the fans and everything. And I think are they coming back with fans soon? Is it in July?
Yeah, I think we're going to have some fans in the stands actually tomorrow. In the race. Yeah, we're going to have, I think it's military members though. So I think they're going to kind of try it out for a couple of weeks with military families and members and see where it goes from there. So NASCAR's pushing hard to kind of get back to some normalcy. Obviously we've been at the front of being aggressive and opening our sport up first. And they're kind of staying at that pace too.
So will you guys get tested when you go onto the track? Like, what does that look like for you guys? Yeah, so we have a certain entrance that we have to come in, and we have to have our masks on, and they check our temperature as soon as we come in the track. If you're a certain temperature, you're not going to race that weekend. Well, I shouldn't say that. If you're a certain temperature, you have to go to 2 additional local doctors or state doctors, and they have to really diagnose you whether they think you have it or not. If you do, you won't race for the next couple of weeks until your symptoms are gone or away. But so far it's been really good. Everybody's made it through the temperature checks, and then we're quarantined into staying in a certain parking lot. If you have a motorhome, you can stay in your motorhome. If not, they give us a building that we can spread out in and stay in. And then we wait for 4 or 5 hours because we have to be there early in case you fail. You have to give time for someone else to get there. So we all have to sit and wait and
and kill a lot of time, and then we hop in the race cars and go. It's a very weird situation, but it's working.
Awesome. So we have Jason Simmons.
Look at Jason. Look at Jason Simmons over there. Jason, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
Good.
This is good to see. Anthony, thanks for inviting me on. I know we've been talking about this, this kind of web series you've been doing here for the past few weeks, and I know we talked the other night, and you was like, "Man, you got to get on there." And I didn't have to go to the race this weekend, so I said, "Send me the link. I'm coming in." So appreciate it.
Right.
Great to see you, Jason.
Great seeing you, Jason.
Jim, how you doing? It's good to see you again. Hey, John.
Jason, what's going on? How you doing?
I feel like you're getting ready to ask me a question about sponsorship or something like that. Do I owe you any follow up?
That's off camera. Give me 5 minutes.
All right. Well, you got my number.
So Jason is one of our prize students from the racing school. Ty, he came to the racing school and he's working for NASCAR, and we're very proud of Jason. So
I want to introduce him to all the other students. So
yeah,
Jason, Jason, are you 30 already? Because I can't take it if another one of our students turns 30.
I'm a little north of 30 right now, just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit.
And so that Ty, like Jason was a teenager in the program, 13, wow. 14, yeah. Something like that. So for all the students that are on now, meet Jason Simmons, who is alumni of the Urban Youth Racing School and has pretty much sat in the same seats that you guys are sitting in.
That's right.
I'm not even going to say how many years ago, because then that dates me.
1999.
Yeah.
Jason, I know that you came in, you have a couple questions, but I definitely wanted for you to talk, especially with the students that are on, just kind of talk through your experience at the racing school and how it kind of led you to NASCAR.
Wow. I mean, honestly, the racing school is the reason that I have, this name on my chest. It was my gateway into NASCAR. Started at the school in 1999. And essentially the way I ended up on the doorstep of the school, my mother never let a summer go by where we were just in the streets, nothing to do. She said, you guys are always going to be involved with some kind of organizations, some kind of sports. You're not going to be out here running around the streets of Philadelphia getting into trouble. Like, that's not going to happen. So she would sign us up for literally anything she came across in the newspaper. Like, we went to horseback riding camp. We went to archery camp. Right. We went to tennis camp. We went to, I remember the church camp we went to called Camp I'm Special down on Fairmount Avenue. Right. We did everything. And then one summer of 99, my mom came to me and said, you guys are going to racing school. We were like, racing school? Like, what is that? Is this something has to do with the horses? Like, we didn't know. So we were like, all right, cool, let's do it. So we ended up coming down to Anthony's and Michelle's school in West Philly, and the rest was history. The amount of people that we met, the experiences that we had, all shaped where I am today. There are people that I met that worked for NASCAR back in 2001, 2002 that I met at the racing school that still work for NASCAR to this day. There's people that I remember when I was a teenager that worked for Hendrick Motorsports that I work with and interact with on a day-to-day basis. It just blows my mind sometimes when I think about it. You try to be professional, and it's like, wow, dude, like, I'm sitting here talking to you about sponsorships and, approving partners for Jimmy Johnson's car. And I remember, you sitting and talking to me when I was 13 years old, when I was just a kid. Jim was the same way, would always come to the racing school, was always involved, him and his team over at General Motors. I remember, Jim very early on, I just being around and being involved with the kids. I credit everything that I have today and where I am, because of the racing school. It led me to actually racing. Anthony would let me borrow, I don't know why, but Anthony would loan me his race car so I can go take him 800 miles down the road down to Orlando or Myrtle Beach to go racing. So I started racing mini cup cars under the racing school banner, and we would go to South Boston, Myrtle Beach, as Michelle mentioned, all the way up to Poughkeepsie, New York, all the way down to Orlando Speed World, running mini cup cars, and then eventually graduated into the legend cars. And Ty, you may not remember, but we raced a couple of times at the summer shootout over the years, for
Awesome.
sure. Yeah. So I started racing and got up to the Legends program. I still have 2 legend cars down here in Charlotte, North Carolina that I race. I ran the whole summer shootout last year. Don't ask me how I did, please don't. Unfortunately, we lost 2 motors at the end of last year, so I'm still working on getting my motors rebuilt so I can get back into the summer shootout again this year, but that's neither here nor there. Went to school, went to college, kept my grades up. My dad always told me, he said, I will always support you in racing if you keep your grades up. You uphold your end of the bargain and I'll uphold mine. So I always kept my grades up in school. And then that's also a huge reason for me being where I am today as well. I applied for an internship for NASCAR through our NASCAR diversity program, internship program, and I was accepted into their internship program in 2012. So I moved to Daytona, lived in Daytona for 9 months, and I don't know, I still don't know how, but I ended up in human resources as an intern, which was, at the time, I was like, how did I end up here? But it was also like the best thing that could have possibly happened, because it allowed for me to see all the jobs that were opening and becoming available. So I was able to, see, when things were opening up, reading about the job descriptions. And that led me to a role in our marketing team initially here in Charlotte. So after 9 months in Daytona, moved to Charlotte, worked in our industry marketing team. Ty, Patrick Rogers, Justin Swilling, that whole group. Yeah, so worked with them for a few years, but I always wanted to kind of get a little bit more closer to the competition side, a little bit closer to, what actually goes on that track. Because I'm very hands-on. So I found that there were some opportunities in our racing operations department. And essentially what they do, they're more so the driving force in competition and in operations for NASCAR. So we handle a multitude of things that are essential to putting on the event weekend, such as, we review sponsors and approve paint schemes, the implementation of new rules, team updates, everything all the way down to team drug testing. We do quite a bit. That all falls under our racing operations team. So Ty mentioned the health screening that goes on at the track. I've been working with the task force for the past 4 weeks on, testing people that comes into the track and making sure that they're not bringing any symptoms related to the COVID-19 into the track. So, we're out at the track, early in the morning, and then anybody who's going to be going into the infield has to come through our station. And as Ty mentioned, we asked them, have they had any symptoms, any coughs, fevers, aches, anything like that over the past 14 days. We check their temperature on their forehead or the back of the neck or behind the ear. And then we give them a sticker for their hard card that lets them know that they're essential and that they have been tested and screened and they're allowed to be in the track. And then they go on their way. So that's everybody from the track, the firefighters at track, the track workers, NASCAR officials, all the way up to drivers. We test Mike Helton, we test Steve Phelps. It doesn't matter who you are, like you got to get tested before you go into the track. Yeah. So I say all that to say, I've this whole trip from, my first introduction to motorsports through the racing school to where I am now, like it's been such a journey and such a blessing. And, the racing school played a huge part in that. I'm so fortunate to be where I am. This was a huge week for the sport, especially as an African American in the sport. I couldn't be prouder to be working for this company that values so much and wants everybody's voice to be heard. I couldn't imagine or fathom, being anywhere else, outside of this motorsports family that I'm in right now. So super blessed. Anthony, Michelle, thanks for putting this on. Jim, John, thank you for your continued support. And Ty, just wanted to thank you for everything that you've done over this past week. We were all watching, the world was watching. You really were an inspiration for sure. So thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it, man. That's awesome. Love hearing your story.
Jason, I can't let you leave without, what a lot of people don't know is Jason's dad, I think at one point in one of his past lives was a race car driver.
Leon, that's right.
Thanks, he was.
So it wasn't just Jason, it was also his brother, Leon. So when the boy started racing, his father's, like whatever it was that was in his soul for centuries had just come out.
Right.
The fact that he wanted to be a race car driver. So Jason, you have to share at least one story about your dad. And big Leon is hilarious. Whether it was on the track, whether it was at the racing school. He was my first experience to a racing parent that's equivalent to a football parent on the field. That was Leon. He didn't matter where he was.
Hey Jim, you would see Leon with a racing uniform on Ford before Jason and them had one on.
Oh, yeah.
They would get ready to go out the race. Be like, Leon, what the heck you doing here, Leon? Oh, I'm gonna go out here and drive first.
Hey guys, before you go on, I have another appointment I have to get to.
Wrap this up.
Yes.
Yeah, so I have to slide out, but I appreciate you guys having me in, and love hearing the stories, and hopefully I'll be back soon to chat with you guys some more.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for everything, Ty.
Back at the track.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ty.
Yeah. Take care, Ty. All right. Bye-bye.
If I could maybe just add something, I've known Jason for a long time, mainly meeting him first at the awards banquets over the years, and then watching him go on to college and then get into the different work assignments, and then end up at NASCAR. And I've had the pleasure of watching him grow. This is one of my favorite moments, is when a student comes back to share their experience at the school and then their journey to where they are now. I'm proud of you, Jason, and it's always great to see you. And it's really special to see Jason when we're standing in Winter Circle, because we both love that piece of it. And he still has a passion for racing. I know that in terms of being on the track and also being an amazing professional in his job that he has now and the previous ones he's had at NASCAR and even before NASCAR. So proud of Jason, and it's always great to see him at the track. We usually catch each other actually in Winter Circle, so that's always fun.
Yep, Daytona.
Well, that's why I was saying that now the Winter Circle is so empty.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Empty.
Yeah. No, 100%. And Michelle, you and Anthony, you were asking about my dad. Yeah, he's I will start off by saying, and this is to all the parents that are on as well. As much as I attribute my success in the motorsports arena to my relationship and my experiences with the racing school, my successes in life, I owe them all to my father and to my mother. They are the ones that shaped who I am today, and in turn, I'll pass that on down to my children someday, and have that love and care and support for them as they did for me. That was huge for what they did for me growing up. To support a child that has dreams of wanting to go into the motorsports world in Philadelphia. I still don't know how they processed it, and said, this is what we're going to support you on, because anybody that knows anything about motorsports, if you really take it, if you want to take it serious, it's going to cost a lot of money. And, there were times where, not knowing now, well, not knowing then, but I know now, and talking to my dad, how many times he dipped into his retirement fund to buy me a set of tires, or to buy me a spare motor, or if I tore up a car, to buy it and get it repaired so that I was back out on the track the following weekend. And it's not like basketball or football, you know, where you're just going down to the local rec center to go play your next game. I mean, we're traveling 4 or 5 hours every other weekend to go to these other tracks. So there's a huge time investment. Also, you know, you got to stay in hotels, you got to, you know, buy food, you know, got to buy gas, you know, track entry fees, all that stuff. So it takes a special kind of parent to really, you know, support their kid in the world of motorsports. And I think in turn that kind of shapes why motorsports is such a unique culture. You know, like you go to the family, you go to a race, or, you know, whether it's, you know, with NASCAR, or, you know, racing at the short tracks down in Virginia, and just how everybody kind of comes together, and it really is kind of a family atmosphere. You know, I remember the first times that, you know, I went down south and went racing. I was like, oh boy, like, how's this? Like, what is this going to be like? And going out there and breaking parts and wrecking. Those guys understand, you know, what it takes to just get to the track, you know, and they don't want to see you, you know, break an axle in practice and don't have a spare axle. You can't race in the future that night. Like, no, they're coming over and say, hey, like, I got a spare axle that I pulled out of my other car that's going in your car. You're going to be in this race tonight. So kind of getting into my story, Michelle asked, you know, a story about my dad. I remember the first race we ever had was Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, 2002. Anthony had just did the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Day down in Parkside, what was it, Memorial Hall?
Yeah, Memorial Hall.
Down in
right.
Parkside.
Right.
And Anthony had got a car painted up like Dale Jr.'s number 8 car that he was racing, and Dale Jr. raced that car in that race out in Parkside.
Right, he sure did.
So in April, wait, that was in 01, I believe. And in April of 02, we were going racing down in Myrtle Beach, and Anthony was like, you need a car? Like, race the Dale Jr. car. And I was like, I don't know if I want to, that's a lot of pressure,
right.
You know, because Dale Jr. started his career at Myrtle Beach Speedway.
Right.
So I was like, dang, I was like, Ant, like, I'm honored. Like, that's a lot of pressure. Ant was like, no, take it.
Right.
So, and then my dad was like, oh, he's like, okay. So he was like, my dad said, all right, come on, we'll take the car. So we rented a U-Haul, put the Dale Jr.'s car in the U-Haul and towed it down to Myrtle Beach Speedway. And the whole entire time, my dad is like, Jason, you better not tear this car up. You better not put a scratch on this car. I don't care if you need to go around that track at 20 miles an hour. Like, you better not tear this car up. Be like, Jason, I'm telling you right now, don't tear this car up. Okay, Dad, I'm not gonna tear it up. I'm not gonna tear it up. So we get down there, we unload the car for practice the next morning. I'm sitting in the car, getting all buckled in. And my dad's like, Jason, don't tear this car up. I was like, Dad, I'm not gonna tear it up. I promise you. I get out there on that track, second lap of practice, going down in the turn 1 at Myrtle Beach Speedway. The back end stepped out, and I turned to overcorrect it, and I looped it up into the wall and backed that thing into a wall at about 120 miles an hour. Hit the wall so hard, knocked the shoes off my feet. My dad is sprinting down pit road to come to the car, and he's standing there. I looked over, and I'm like, I had never hit anything that fast. This is like first wreck. Like, this is new to me.
Right.
I was like, whoa. I look over, my dad standing down there, like his hands on, like he just saw like the dollar signs, like. So, and he's trying to like run up on the track, like, and this car is still going around for practice. You know, they got the caution, but they're like slowing up. So I get out the car with no shoes on my feet. And he was like, I told you not to wreck this car. I told you not to wreck this car. And where are your shoes? Where are your shoes? But he thought I was out there racing with no shoes, and I was like, no, the shoes are on the floor of the car. Like, somebody get my shoes, because it's South Carolina and it's hot and the asphalt is hot. So we went to the hospital, had to go to the hospital and get checked out. And I'm about 12 years old. So I'm crying my eyes out like the whole time. I was like, oh my God, Anthony's going to kill me. Like, and I call him, I was like, oh my God, like, I don't even want to call Anthony. So like me and my dad literally sat around all day. Like, how are we going to tell Anthony? How are we going to call Anthony? Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And then he was like, here, you call him. I remember, I'll never forget. I'm crying on the phone. I called Anthony. I said, Anthony. He's like, hey man, how's it going? I said, I wrecked the car. I was like, oh my God, like he's gonna be so pissed. And I remember the first thing Anthony said was, you all right? You all right? How you doing? Like Anthony didn't care about the car. He was like, Jay, like, are you good? Don't worry about the car. We'll get it fixed. And that made me sleep a whole lot easier that night. So my dad, man, oh man.
I remember that. I remember that.
That was rough.
I remember that.
I almost hung it up after that, but I said, no, I'm gonna keep on going. So
yeah, I remember that. Absolutely.
No,
But
Jason,
Jason, we're so proud of you though, of your accomplishments, and listen, man, it's funny, you've been dedicated forever, to this particular industry, and even with the internships and things like that you were doing, you were always dedicated, and I always knew that you would get where you are today and even go further than you are even today. So again, I just wanted to let you know we're so proud of you. And then Leon, your dad is, listen, man, I love Leon. He's the funniest guy, but he was always very supportive of you guys when it came to racing.
100%.
And racing is very expensive. And, Leon, listen, I'm going to say this to you. Even though Leon might have been going in his savings, Leon loved racing. He loved you guys. Don't get it twisted.
Oh yeah.
If it was a situation where he was doing something he didn't want to do.
Yeah.
He wanted to support you guys, but he loves the sport of racing too. No question about it.
100%. I told him when I was talking to him the other day, I said, yeah, I'm still looking for motors down here, and to get back in racing. And the first thing he said was, how much does it cost? Mm-hmm. And I said, Dad, like, you're retiring, and my dad is retiring in September. I said, I got this. Like,
I got to call Leon. Yes.
Yeah. I said, I got this. I said, I don't want any of your money. I owe you so much. Right. My biggest fear is that he's going to send me an invoice one day, just for everything. That's my biggest fear.
But yeah. So Michelle, did any other kids have any questions?
All right. I don't think so.
For Jason or
without Jason, I wouldn't know about the school. Jason's the one who told me. Remember, I was racing in Charlotte, and he was like, "You don't know about the urban racing school?" I was like, "He put me on." I think he put me on the phone with Ant the next day, and I drove down to Philly maybe like a week later.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Jason and his parents, Leon and Maria, were probably the first parents that understood that, all right, the racing school can take you, but so far. If this is our child's passion, now we have to kind of step in. And, we have to get him to these races. Yep. And the one thing that the racing school did was, hey, listen, this is our equipment. You can use it. Right? It was like always come in. They got whatever it was that they needed, they would come to the racing school and get, and whatever we didn't have, Leon would, put the money out for, and he would make sure that it would happen for you guys.
No doubt about it.
Without Leon, like, I just love Leon because he's hilarious, right?
But he loves the sport. He loves the sport of racing. No question about it. He loves it.
You would have thought that Leon was raised doing this motorsports thing, but he wasn't, right?
Right.
But thank you so much, Jason. Jim, I know that, I don't know how much time you have, but I know that you have to go, you have things. But this has been great. We're so thankful to have Ty on and for his open. And I don't know if you were on the whole time, Jason, while Ty was speaking.
I was, yeah.
Perfect. So, to have Ty on to be able to talk about, the spark that he created. Ty was that real catalyst that kind of stepped up and just asked a question. Like, really, it was nothing other than a question. Like, what's going on? I really want to understand, and I really want to learn how we can all be better. And he just did it. And that's very important to note and understand. So, Jason, I want to thank you Jim, as always.
Yes.
Much love.
Yes.
John Cohen. So, I meant to ask Dylan before he had to go out. I think you guys can find Dylan on Instagram at Ty_Dillion.
Right.
That's where he is on Instagram, and I believe he's also that on Facebook. So, you guys, Jason, can you let everybody know where they can find you and
Find you, Jason.
rotate that around the room so everybody knows where to find everyone.
Yeah. I just want to say what's up to Avante Walker. He just hit me up here on the chat side here. I was sending him a note back. But yeah, Avante, I remember you, man. If you need anything, definitely reach out. And I encourage anybody that has any questions for me. My email is the letter J Simmons @NASCAR.com. If you ever have any questions, or if I can ever be of any assistance to any of the kids, or if the parents, if you have any questions on how to get your kids, kind of up and going in motorsports, if I can ever be of any assistance, any advice, or, help you meet people, I'm always happy to do those kinds of things. So please reach out. And I'm also on Instagram. What's my Instagram? jsimmons.51 is my Instagram. So I always post stuff about my racing journey. Yeah, just a J Simmons .51.
Was that the number? Was that the number on your car?
It's the number on my car now.
I thought. Okay.
Yeah, yep.
Now, for all the students, remember, next Wednesday, the 17th, you'll be doing your presentations for us. So make sure that you guys will continue to prepare for your presentations next Wednesday. In fact, Mr. Campbell's going to be one of the judges. Mr. Walburn's going to be one of the judges, and we're working on a few other judges too right now. So next Wednesday, the 17th. And if anyone has any questions, please. And I noticed that a lot of you guys have been sending your presentations into us. So if you have any additional questions, anything that you might need, please reach out to us, because next Wednesday is a big day for everyone. Okay?
Are you around next Wednesday?
Am I around next Wednesday?
Yeah.
I should be. We have summer shootouts. We have summer shootouts on Tuesday. So yeah, Wednesday I should be free.
All right, you can talk to me.
The kids are doing their presentations next Wednesday, Jason.
Okay.
So they had to put together a deck for sponsorship. So they'll be presenting next Wednesday. So we'd like for you to be a part of that too.
Well, I'll definitely be on then. I'll definitely be on.
Good for Jason, because all the car approvals.
That's right. Jason, he does car approvals.
I'm the one. So when I say to you guys, I have to make sure everything's correct. This is who I send it to, Jason.
Jason, that's right.
Like, John, you got to change this. So
yeah,
right.
So we can dive into all of what I do, like on the day to day on another session here.
No, but I choose the kids where the numbers go and stuff like that, and I tell them like, if it's not right, it doesn't get approved. And it's funny, you are the person who I send it to, and I didn't put two and two together at the time I was teaching them, but now.
Yeah. No, 100%. Real quick, my main day to day, I'm known around the garage as the paint scheme guy. Before any car goes onto the track, the teams have to submit their paint schemes to me for approval. So we have a whole section in the rule book that touches on vehicle branding guidelines. It's section 7.6 in our NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and Gander RV and Outdoor Truck Series rule books. And it tells you where you can and can't put, decals on your car. It talks about, conflicting sponsorships. It talks about, the number and the different colors that you are allowed to use and colors that you're not allowed to use. It talks about areas where, for instance, like the rear spoiler, you can't put decals on your rear spoiler. You can't